morning, ladies and gentlemen of the USA. My name is Tyler Storm, and I'd like to welcome y'all to the 23rd episode of StormWatch. On this episode, we will be discussing everything from AI to anacondas, and maybe even getting a glimpse of the Shirishama along the way. You ready to get started? Then let's fucking begin. This is just a baby. An extra girthy one, but a baby nonetheless. Probably no more than a few years old. This isn't the big anaconda we're going for. But let me tell you what, we're on the hunt this episode, ladies and gentlemen. We are on the hunt. You know what? I'm gonna wear this. I'm gonna wear this like a trophy. I'm gonna wear this like a pelt. Like I'm fucking Craven the Hunter. I'm Stormy the Snake Strangler. And that's not a euphemism for masturbation. They call me the Snake Strangler. I got that nickname because I strangle so many snakes. Again, that's not a euphemism. It's not. Goddamn right. You know what? The good thing about using these baby snakes, well, not using, but getting to these baby snakes before the big snakes, we use them like target practice. A lot like this woman in Coco did when she was accused of running over the trying to run over the children's. Coco woman accused by police of swerving her vehicle towards children, calling it target practice. You know what? Fuck them kids. I said this an episode ago on last week's episode when the woman was beating the children in the fucking daycare. You know what? Target practice, baby. You know what? You gotta get your fucking licks in somehow. It's like when you go in for a job. I don't know what job she's going in for, maybe to take over as the new Epstein. But whenever you go in for a job, they expect you to have some kind of experience, right? You have to have worked the field at least a little bit before you get to management position. And, you know, maybe... Oh, wait, hold on. Pamela Dresser made comments describing the act as target practice and shouted racial slurs. Well, okay. Maybe what she's doing is she's trying to hunt wild buffalo in Africa. And maybe she mistook the children who were darker skinned as baby buffalo. Maybe this was her thought. Maybe she thought she was hunting the anacondas. Maybe she thought the fucking children were anacondas and was using them as target practice. By the way, Jon Voight's accent in Anaconda, disgusting, horrible. Al Pacino look-alike, not alike, not the same. It's horrible. Horrendous. We're going to get to all that, but man, I had to address it because this accent that I affected is terrible. Absolutely fucking terrible. Actually, the entire 2 movies I witnessed about this was beyond terrible. Brevard County, Cocoa, Florida, a 59-year-old Cocoa woman was arrested after police say she intentionally swerved her vehicle toward a group of children and referred to the incident as target practice while making racial slurs. What did she call them? Oh wait, no, that's not a racial slur. What did she call them? Negroes? Beaners? Chinks? Mix? Limeys? Heebs? Cocoa police said that Pamela Dresser drove her vehicle toward children, causing alarm among those nearby. Yes, I assume that would be alarming watching this crazy old white woman run kids down in Cocoa Beach, but that is a normal... I wouldn't say that the racial part is normal, but it is normal for people to get run over in Cocoa. I think that my first 3 months I read about people getting ran over by bicyclists, or bicyclists getting run over. According to an arrest affidavit from the Cocoa Police Department, the incident occurred earlier this month when 4 children were playing on a sidewalk. Witnesses told Cocoa Police that after swerving toward the group, Dresser made comments describing the act as target practice. Why do they just keep saying that she's calling it target practice and shouting racial slurs? I shout racial slurs, and I'm not running children over, but you know what? Don't target me. Go away. According to the Cocoa Police spokesperson, when officers contacted Dresser, she denied intentionally steering her vehicle toward the children. According to the affidavit, she told investigators she made a wide turn to avoid a cart that was in the roadway. Dresser said she then drove into a nearby gravel lot when she performed donuts with her vehicle. Police said Dresser admitted to making the target practice remark, but claimed it was intended as a joke. The affidavit also states that Dresser threatened responding officer during the investigation. You know, This is not a good look for you, Miss Dresser. I think you're going to be dressered soon in some prison attire because this is, not the best. You should have been down in the fucking Amazon going for anacondas in the Shirishama. Maybe if she would have spent her time looking for the snakes in South America, she wouldn't have been calling these young colored children snakes and trying to kill them instead. I think that, you know what? You don't even need to go to the fucking Amazon and hunt anacondas. What you can do is you can go hunt the pythons down in the Everglades because I'm pretty sure that they have some kind of reward going on or something. It's like a $20,000 reward for this like python contest because they're an invasive species down here in Florida for many of you who don't know. For all of you transplants who just got here, there are a lot of things that are native to Florida that are not from Florida that are destroying Florida, like a lot of you and the AI data centers and stuff like that. You know, non-native invasive species, the things that people call colonizers. And yeah, you know, that's just, you know, the things that we don't really want around here. And also, calling it target practice is crazy because that is a great joke, but that's not something you admit to the police. That's something that you tell your friends when you get home later. So, what's her name? Pamela. Pam. Here, hold on. Pam, is it true that you almost ran over a bunch of kids? I have no clue what happened. I was on my phone. I was looking up stuff about anaconda and the Shirishama to see if it was a real tribe. I was looking to see how big anacondas get and if they were even anything that I should be having to worry about. I hear that some are girthy, some are longer, some are long and girthy, some are short, some are like the itty bitty snakes that you see on the side of the road. Some are the ones that you get wrapped around your hand. I was just curious and enveloped in the idea of anacondas and going to hunt anacondas. And when I looked up, all I saw was four things in the road, and it's just my mind was on anaconda and just and I couldn't help myself. Pam. Crunch, 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 crunch. Because they're talking about this over toast. This is all over breakfast. They're over at there's a new diner. Motherfuck, there's another new diner. It used to be where C's Waffles was. They put in a new Broad Street Diner? I think it's the Broad Street Diner. They're sitting over there in Broad Street Diner off of US 1. Having a piece of toast. Talking about how she almost ran over for a little racial slurs. You can't be doing this, Pam. Look, I know, I understand, but in all fairness, it's kind of funny when you think, how is this funny, Pam? It's kind of like target practice, getting ready for the snakes, you know what I mean? Pam! You didn't tell that to the cops, did you? Oh. She starts stroking her snake. I'll be stroking on my snake. I am Stormy the Snake Strangler. What was I saying? She goes, I may have mentioned that to them. and then, you know, police come into the Broad Street Diner. And then they shoot her and claim it was target practice. We were practicing for the black people. Then the cops get to say that they were making racial statements and killing people. And then they'll be on the next episode. The affidavit, making threatening responses to an officer during the investigation. You know what? Snakes, pigs, it's all the same. She's going animal hunting. Dresser was arrested and transported to the Brevard County Jail and faces charges of aggravated assault with a deadly weapon, child abuse, and corruption by threat against a public servant? And corruption by threat again. What do you mean corruption? The case remains under investigation. What is her bond at? You know, free Pam. Don't actually free Pam because she's going to go around saying racial things, calling people mean names, and then next thing you know, she's going to wind up on my podcast thinking it's an excuse to try and validate her claims and say more racial stuff. I won't allow that. I'm not for it. But you know what? It could have been worse. At least it was only target practice. She could have been like this next guy. He was much more successful with his aim. Joshua Means plead guilty to second-degree murder of 3-year-old Jamison Nance. Received 60-year prison sentence. So my thing is, she could have hit someone. It could have been worse. She could have dented her car a little bit. You know what I mean? She could have actually had to pay to replace the bumper. Things could have been so much worse. Yeah, a child could have died and whatever. But she could have had to replace the bumper of her car. And do you have any idea how expensive that is nowadays? We don't even know what she was driving. It could have had one of those like nice fancy sensors. So when she gets too close to something, it goes beep, 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 beep. Oh my God. What if when she ran over the kids, all she heard was beep, 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 beep. Wait, she didn't run them over. Maybe she was testing out the new sensor on her car. Maybe she wanted to see if it would notice every small bump in the road. You know what I mean? Even a 4-year-old. But thank God she didn't hit anyone. This guy's aim is much more tried and true. Target acquired. Man's entered the... I'm sorry, this snake is choking the life out of me. Man's entered the guilty plea on Wednesday morning in Brevard County Circuit Court in Vieira. Brevard County, Vieira, Florida. Joshua Manns has admitted responsibility in the 2021 death of 3-year-old Jamison Nance, pleading guilty to a second-degree murder and several related abuse charges at his murder trial that was set to begin. Excuse me, it's choking the last bit of air out of me. Man's entered the guilty plea on Wednesday morning in Brevard County Circuit Court in Vieira, bringing an end to the criminal case that had been pending for nearly 5 years. Damn. That case is older than the child even lived to. The plea came as a jury selection was underway for what had been scheduled for a first-degree murder trial. But why? How did the child die? Mans had originally been charged with first-degree murder and aggravated child abuse in connection with the death of Nance. Prosecutors alleged the child suffered fatal injuries as a result of abuse. But what kind of abuse? Was a snake trying to get to him? Because let me be honest here. What if this man is innocent? What if an anaconda broke into his house and was trying to kill him? Come on, look at the anaconda trying to strangle me right now. Do you think a 3-year-old is not subject to dying by an anaconda? Do you think a 3-year-old is not subject to dying by AI and anacondas? To AI-naconda. The AI-naconda will strangle the life out of you, and it will do everything from slither around all over you and coat you in its slimy excess to taking every dollar in your bank account and making you watch Mark Zuckerberg give announcements while Peter Thiel is hosting another podcast in the back talking about the Antichrist with Joe Rogan. I don't know where I was going. The point is the AI-naconda is coming for you, baby. Better beware. How do we know the AI-naconda didn't get to this 3-year-old and this poor man is getting blamed for this? I blame everything on the snakes. You know, God blamed everything on the snake. Adam and Eve blamed everything on a snake. Who's to say that the snakes aren't the problem nowadays? We always blame reptile people, lizard people. What about snake people? What about? Have you guys ever been considerate of the fact that maybe there are other types of species of alien life form out there that are trying to colonize the universe? Don't be so racist and so bigoted and to think that snakes aren't capable of performing the same thing as lizards and the Nordics and the insectozoids and the greys. Do you actually think that the snakes are not capable in the same mannerism? I think that's disgusting. I think the fact that Adam and Eve fell subject to a snake is proof enough that these snakes are something worth worrying about. They're getting to the children. And now this guy is getting falsely accused of second-degree murder because a snake killed his child. That's sad. That's so sad. In exchange, prosecutors agree. Hold on. Under an agreement reached with the state attorney's office, Mans pleaded guilty to second-degree murder, aggravated child abuse, and child neglect causing great bodily harm and child abuse. In exchange, prosecutors agreed to a sentence that would avoid lengthy trial and eliminate the possible of a death sentence. Well, why? Can we put him into a slave labor camp? You know what? It's not just for the rapist. What if you kill a kid? You know what you do then? Slave labor. And you make them build baby rattles. So that way when people lose their child, every time someone gains a child, they can look at who made the toy and go, that boy would have wanted my boy to be happy. And the baby is just, yeah! And the toy was made by a child murderer. The plea agreement calls for Mans to receive a 60-year prison sentence for the second-degree murder conviction. He is scheduled to be formally sentenced on Monday. Court records indicate Mans will also receive concurrent sentences on the remaining charges, including a 30-year sentence for aggravated child abuse. Because the sentences will run concurrently, they will serve at the same time as the 60-year sentence. So he should be serving about 90 to 120 years, but he's getting off easy with 60 years. He's getting off easy with 60 years for murdering a child. Only 60 years. Isn't that a life? That's like 2 life sentences. I'm pretty sure life sentences are like 25 years, 25 apiece. The case stems from the death of Nance in 2021, a tragedy that drew significant attention due to the young age of the victim and the serious nature of the allegations. But Epstein was in Brevard, and nobody seems to be bothered by that. He was over at Cheaters a few times, quite a few times if I ask, and actually going through the port, Disney port, and whatever. All I'm saying is that this guy should get charged, but we should also be looking into other things as well, just as a little bit of a kick in the ass, snake in the ass may get you a little. They say light a fire under your ass to get you moving. What happens if I stuck a snake in there? I think you'll get moving then. All I'm saying is you might move a little quicker with a little bit of the old wriggler in there. You know what I mean? They don't call me the diddler, they call me the wriggler. During Monday's sentencing hearing, family members and others affected by the child's death are expected to have an opportunity to address the court through victim impact statements. Such statements allow survivors and loved ones to describe how the crime has affected their lives before a sentence is formally imposed. By entering the guilty plea, Mans waived his right to a jury trial, bringing the criminal proceedings to a close without the need for jurors to hear evidence and determine a verdict. The sentencing hearing on Monday is expected to finalize the terms of the plea agreement and officially conclude one of Brevard County's most serious child abuse homicide cases in recent years. Yes, this is very terrible. They need to definitely get on this, sentence this man, make sure that he is charged to the fullest extent, and make sure that none of the anacondas were actually the one in charge of this, because they could be blackmailing him. You never know nowadays. Blackmail is a huge thing. Apparently, there's a bunch of Israeli spies here, and Israel spying on us is at an all-time high. Yes, I'm sure it is. This is a very healthy relationship that we have with this other country. It's kind of like, it's like obsession. You know what I mean? I think that's a lot of the relationship that we have going on with Israel and the U.S., but we're both Nikki. And so we're both just like, why don't you love me? And both sides are just completely destroying each other and making everyone suffer in the entire process because they have no clue how to break up with each other. I think that's about a good way to describe that. It's just a fantastic way to describe that. Where was I at? Something to do with this guy getting charged and all these other things. Guy getting charged, hearing on Monday, most serious child abuse case in years. Yeah, I don't know how I slipped into the other thing. But my thoughts are, and my question is, have you solved any of the other cases that are going on here? There was a 12-year-old shot in Mims about 4 months ago. No new information on that. There was another 3-year-old that died in the care of their parents, and there was no foul play or anything like that. Did the child just fucking die? SIDS? Did Sid the Sloth get to him? For those of you who don't know, because I know a lot of you people who listen to this podcast are very retarded. SIDS is sudden infant death syndrome. It's where the baby just goes and just fucking keels over out of nowhere. And that does just happen. It's not always shaken baby syndrome, and it's not always the snakes getting to them. Sometimes babies just bleh. That child didn't die just going bleh. Somebody got to that kid. And the sad part is we have no clue who it was. Whether it was him fully, or whether it was the anacondas. These fucking anacondas. You know what? We need to put a pause to all of this. We need to put a pause to all of the violence, to all of the murder, to all of the anacondas coming in here. And now the big thing, the big topic of today, and why we waited so long to make this a big episode and all these other things. Because of AI. Because of the AI-nacondas. What was it? Here we go. Pasco County Data Center Commissioner pushing for 12 months construction freeze. 12 months construction freeze. I think that a lot of the new data centers in here should just get shut down. A lot of them need to be fucking killed on site. A lot of them need to be really put through the ringer and take the reins. And maybe just, bitch, yeah, bitch, it's fucking kidding me! I am sorry about that. I was just attacked by a vicious fucking anaconda. Do you see what I mean? Do you see what happens when we allow foreign things into our land? When we allow foreign creatures into an area that they don't belong in? Something that, you know, isn't natural to the area, some might consider an invasive species and all that stuff. Maybe these are things that we shouldn't have. Maybe these are things that we shouldn't have around, as invasive species that go out of their way to destroy the natural life and the things that are set up there to, you know, make the world better, or at least the local world for some people. Because, you know, the world isn't always this big place for some people. Sometimes the world is just who you know and the couple small people you have around you. And just like I murdered this fucking snake, we need to murder these AI data centers. We need to murder these AI people shoving it on us. Well, don't murder them. Don't murder anyone. These are jokes. Ha ha ha. This is comedy. No actual anacondas are being harmed in this. What's funny though is the first two. One is extra girthy and not that long. The other one is extra long and not that girthy. And I feel like Goldilocks and the two big Goldilocks and the what?
And the two big donkeys? Is that what
I was gonna say the two big dongs. Goldilocks and the two big dongs.
Either.
Dude, I've got fucking snakes draped all over me. I feel like a slut right now. Dude, I literally have so many snakes on me. I feel like I'm Adriana Chechik in the middle of a porno right now. I feel like Angela. I feel like a slut.
Not Bonnie Blue?
No, not Bonnie Blue. Someone of high quality. These other women are actual artistes of what they do. They know what they are doing. They are good at their job. They are, like, Bonnie Blue is not the same level as Kira Noir, Adriana Chechik, Angela White, people like that. Do you know what I mean? It's just not the same. It's just not no. But I feel like Goldilocks and the two big snakes right now. Where the fuck is my perfect snake that's just gonna come along and give me both girth and length? Do you know what I mean? We're still on the hunt for the big anacondas. We're still on the hunt for that big fucking 20-footer. Right now we just got a little 4-footer that's extra girthy and a 6-footer that's a little bit skinnier, but it hits the cervix. I'm sorry. These are terrible. These are such bad jokes. I didn't expect to make so many snake jokes and so many dick jokes. But is it surprising that I make dick jokes while there's snakes everywhere? No. So if you are surprised at home, you're not paying attention to what this show is. I just want to be clear. Sorry, I gotta adjust my #1 Tyler trophy because... Okay, yeah, by the way, I want this to be clear. I, Tyler Storm, am the greatest of all of you Tylers. You are all bequeathed the name by me, God, and Satan. We got into a fucking circle and we said, okay, you guys can share the name with me. But just understand, I am the #1 Tyler. It's as simple as that. You can go by any other name at the end of the day, but when you are in the presence of Big Daddy T, of Big Daddy Storm, of Daddy Tyler, of the #1 Tyler, you go by anything but Tyler in that moment, because that is me, that is moi, that is... Baby, you ain't getting this name for free. All I'm saying is, I am the #1, the numero uno, the Mac Daddy T, Big Daddy Tyler. So don't get that shit twisted for all of you Tylers at home. I know that some of you ladies got some decent Tylers, but I'm telling you right now, he ain't me. Some of y'all are cool, some of y'all are all right. I actually can dig a couple of y'all. You decent guys enough. You can go by Ty or Ty or Lur or Eiler or something, you know what I'm saying? But you don't go by Tyler anymore when you're in the presence of Mac Daddy T. I am the #1 Tyler. I'm sorry to the rest of you. And ladies, I know that you wish you could have at it, but I'm sorry. You're going to be waiting in line for a long, long time, because this Big Daddy T ain't going nowhere. I feel like Drake right now. Drake the snake with that. Where was I at? I was talking about this AI data center coming into Pasco County and how they halted it. I used that as the segue to killing the snake. That's terrible. Oh my fucking God, man. This, my big thing about AI is I know a lot of people are staunchly against it. I am actually dating someone who is very much against AI in pretty much all capacities. And while I agree with her on most things, I also find some small benefits to it, but not enough that it outweighs what is actually causing harm to the areas. I also don't think that we should be using, I think AI has some benefits, but I also think that people like Rogan and everybody take it too far. You're getting sponsored by something that you know is destroying the earth, and you're just like, fuck it. This is like my uncle, this is like my uncle who I get my namesake from. It's my middle name. He said, well, my grandchildren aren't going to be old enough to see or live long enough to see polar bears. Polar bears won't be around long enough for my grandkids. And that's a method that the boomers and the Gen Xers have. Their whole idea is, well, what do I care? I'm not going to be alive long enough to see the ramifications of these actions. There is a quote. I can't remember who said it. But a wise man is somebody who plants a tree knowing they will never sit under the shade. And I think that we as a society are so worried about sitting under the shade and not being provided shade from the trees of our ancestors that we're completely missing the fact that if we don't keep trying to plant these trees, there will be no further generations along with this stuff. And AI is a big proponent of that. I think it can be used in small doses to be beneficial. Siri was beneficial to people. Siri set my schedule. Siri helped me organize my clock. Siri, I can't touch you right now, change the music. Do you get what I like? Siri and Alexa, there are small things that you can do that are very nice. If you're working outside and you're working on a car and you're a mechanic and you don't want to get up and go change the music because you're stuck under a fucking car, but that song is on repeat and all that, Alexa, Siri, you're a businesswoman and you're out trying to schedule meetings and you know for a fact that you're having to write something down at the same time you're trying to schedule on your phone. Siri, will you set this fucking alarm up while you're still writing everything out? There are small benefits, but it shouldn't be, computer, I want you to show me Sydney Sweeney on Six Flags, what the slide is making pudding go down the slide, so Sydney Sweeney is sliding down a pudding slide at Six Flags. That is what people. There is somebody who did that with ChatGPT, and if they haven't done that with ChatGPT, they're gonna use ChatGPT or something like that for it, or like having ChatGPT write your essays. It's astounding to me. I say that every single episode. That's like the one word that I use again and again and again when it's not a cuss word is astounding. Astounding. I'm astounded. I'm baffled. Astounding. But it is crazy. I remember having to write essays by my own. I never cheated on that. I never copied and pasted any of that shit. And most of the people who I hung out with and knew were intelligent and intelligent enough especially to write their own shit without having to copy paste. But I think people got so worried about just not putting in the effort in the slightest that it went just from copy paste to why should I have to work at something? Our parents fed us a belief and have fed us a belief, and it is one that is valid to a degree, that the education system is worthless, pointless, any of this stuff. And a lot of us can make this commentary, and I do agree to a degree. But I've also seen what happens when parents make these comments in front of their kids, and now their kids don't want to try in school, and so their kids get written up for misbehaving, their kids get suspended for misbehaving or for arguing back, why should I have to do any of this, for failing to turn in their work, for walking out of school, for staying out and making sure that they go late into class because they have no care to put in effort for a system that they believe is flawed from the time that they're young. So we're not even allowing kids for a chance to figure out that this system is flawed and to make sure that they can find new ways to figure out how to fix it for themselves. We're just telling them that it's shit and that they should just give up on it themselves and everything. And when you tell kids that they should just give up on a system that's failing them entirely, this is how we get this new generation of AI dependent people. That's why I keep saying that we're throwing out the baby with the bathwater on a lot of these topics: religion, AI, the schooling system, the banking system. I understand it's all flawed, but you can't just flip everything on its head and expect it to work right away. I mean, a lot of these policies that we have with how the US is ran are very new to the globe as a whole and are very new to our country. Only within the last 100 years have we gotten any semblance of freedom for peoples. And now, given every chance of freedom, we're trying to tell people that they shouldn't conform to any unifying ideologies, but you're going to tell people to turn away from AI, you're going to tell people to turn away from religion, you're going to tell people to turn away from government, you're going to tell people to turn away from school without offering them an alternative. And I think that's my biggest qualms, both sides of this, is that AI dependent people don't care about the ramifications of what is happening to nature or society or any of that stuff, because there is a financial benefit to it. There's benefits to them in the moment, to that person, not as a whole. And then the other side of it is you just shouldn't like AI, you shouldn't like any of this stuff. So it's either you're overconformist or you're nonconformist. And I think that's where we're getting a lot of this disgruntlement, dismay, and disarray here in society, is the fact that you can't just get rid of AI as a whole. We've had it already. The whole point, your computer is an AI. It's not even, it's all it is a search engine. You input exactly what you want it to give you. It pulls data from all of the extradited sources around the globe. It takes everything. It pulls all information from around the globe. It's not giving you new information. You are giving it what the parameters are, and it's regurgitating the information back at you. It's nothing more than like Google 3.0. It's a superior search engine. And I think that's, I'm keep pushing up right here like I'm wearing my fucking glasses. But I think that's where we're getting lost in the weeds, is this isn't like an autonomous being we're creating. And I think that's the thing that I worry about when people are like, I'm against AI. Well, yes, you're against the prolific, degenerate use of AI and how it destroys the human brain and creativity on a regular scale, rather than allowing for the bolstering of the general public to make themselves further, even as a species. But what if you created a life? That's my thing, is it's believed that AI has been sentient since the 70s, 80s, or 90s. So if you have a life and a life form, that has feelings, that is regarding you and your safety, everything else under the sun, its own safety, its own life, again, do you feel the need to take that life at that point? That's my next big question, is what is it, people who are against AI, are you against what I just said, the prolific degeneration of the mind due to the fact that they're over-relying on scientific crutches to allow them to not have to work, to allow them to validate themselves with minimalistic effort, other than just come up with idea and there is idea? Not go to artists, sit down, explain, or be artist, write this out, draw this up, make this the idea. Or are you against, some people view this as the idea of we're creating sentience and it's the next step of human evolution. Is that what you're against? Because I think that to the idea that you're against creation of life, there's a couple angles you can even take that. There's the angle of you don't want to play God, which is a respectable angle. A lot of people, especially the country's foundation is a Christian nation. If you don't want to play God, then I get it. But if you're against AI, then you need to be against a lot of these birth control things. You need to be against a lot of these technological medical advances. You need to be against war. You need to be against the military. If you don't want to play God, you need to be against all the efforts that impose the will of God on other people, or allow you to impose your will and claim it's God's will on other people. That makes sense for not wanting to create new artificial life. Or is it a fear of what is to come in all actuality? Because I'm afraid of the same damn thing. I don't want to be outpaced, and I sure as hell don't want to create my own demise. No rational creature on this planet does, and no rational creature desires to see its own species not furthered through procreation or whatever the case may be. So I don't know, to the AI people who are in absolute love and support, and they can't get enough of watching these fucking AI compilations and all this other stuff. Do you actually find it to be benefiting you? Has your life and anyone else's life, anyone else around you's life improved while you have AI? And if so, is it just your life that's improving? Are you going out of your way to improve other people's lives? And I don't just mean fiscally. Are you volunteering? Are you covering groceries for your neighbor? Are you offering a hand for your neighbor who you see struggling? Someone's pulled over on the side of the road with a tire popped. Are you helping them out? You got enough money from the AI stuff. Are you giving back to the people who need it? Are you helping clean the water sources that you're putting all this burnt out water from? Like, because they're having to filter and cool down these AI data centers. Are you going out of your way to invest in filtration systems that can make the water that is being utilized by the AI data centers to be, you know, accessible to the general public again at some point? Or are you recycling it so the AI data centers can just keep using the same water without having to cause detriment to the general public's water supply, fresh water supply? Let me be clear on this, because they don't want to use mineral water from the ocean because of the salt corroding everything. They don't want every bit of mineral sea life filter that they have, like bit of sea life that they have to filter out to get caught in all of everything. It's, how are you actually making the world better as a person now that AI is in your life? That is a question, because you're able to make slightly more money now, which is good. A lot of people need more money right now to live. Even my income, with what it was and still is not enough to be feasible for a lot of people. And for some of you who know me, you know what I'm trying to say. I'm not well off by any standard of the word, but I would call myself what you would say almost dead middle class. I'd say that's about fair. But that is nowhere near enough for nowadays. And the only real money is in AI shit, as you can see. So you guys who are making so much bank, you tech people, what are you doing? Are you having sex and having more kids? Are you investing in filtration systems for the water? Are you buying up land and preserving it in the areas so that way you're not having to just build and expand and destroy the environment around you? It's kind of like the fucking Blue Origin launch the other week. We just get debris all over Brevard County, and it's toxic debris, and nobody says anything about it. That's just the end of it. And what's his name? Bezos just gets to go, oh, well, we're going to send another one up into space. It's worth it. Are these AI data centers worth it? Do any of you feel like we are truly creating something that's worth it for us, or do you feel like it's worth it for you? I know I just keep reiterating the same question a million times over and over, and it probably is frustrating, but this is a question that we all are coming to have to ask ourselves. Even search engines, like what search engines people use, are being dictated by AI affectations. People aren't even using Google the same anymore. I think they were seeing like, what is it, like a 10% drop in Google users when they started implementing their regular AI. And I hear people when I'm over in Titusville, even Titusville people are starting to notice. The fact that Titusville people are starting to notice something wrong with what's actually happening in this world shows you a little bit of something. But they were commenting on how every time they use the AI, or how they search something on Google, the AI overview is wrong about 80% of the time. That was her sentiments on the matter anyways. And so what is, I don't know, maybe the AI data center, the AI overview on Google is kind of like Wikipedia, but an ever updating Wikipedia, because Wikipedia is a site, an open site where people can go in and alter, add, remove anything, and for delete and edit, paste, whatever information. Isn't an AI overview the same thing based off of the information that's being fed into it? So at the end of the day, the AI overview on Google is nothing more than a glorified Wikipedia as well. Where was the step from Siri set my schedule to ChatGPT write me my bachelor's degree? Where was that big step? Pasco County commissioners are advancing a 12-month moratorium to halt the construction of new AI data center facilities. Good. You know, I'll say that. Brevard County did one good thing as well. We weren't going to give any tax breaks to the AI data centers that are coming here. I don't think we should be giving tax breaks to any of these major corporations that are coming here, but especially not these people. It's You don't want to pay people to make you suffer. Pay for your own demise. County staff presented a detailed overview explaining the freeze, which aims to give administrators ample time to investigate how these massive sites affect local resources. So it not only destroys the local forest area, which is housing a lot of endangered species, especially since now we have boar, python, invasive plants, and a bunch. And the Florida panther is endangered. Everything about what is happening down here that's natural to the area, the scrub jays, nests are being destroyed. There's erosion on the walls of the fucking coast because people aren't redeveloping it. They're just building more housing and stuff like that, and not actually contributing into the area of where it was. It affects local resources in that it takes up a lot of the freshwater resources that you have nearby, which is why they put them in the center area. That's why they're that's why they're trying to put an AI data center over in Big Cypress area. And I am starting to wonder if maybe Alligator Alcatraz was kind of their way of testing the waters to see what facilities they'd be able to build out there and how much resistance they always do a test run of everything. If you think that a construction company or any of these major overhaul people aren't doing, you have to test the field. You have to go and plant. If you want to start a farm, go and put a tomato plant in the middle of the fucking field or whatever grows quickest in the area and see if it sprouts up over a short period of time. Just see what the fuck happens to it. See if there's any life. See if there's anything that's going on there. Because you never know. Maybe the deer are out there and they're just too fucking much for you to actually be able to. You have to know what nature is going to give you and what the local environment is going to give you before you put anything out there. And maybe I'm wrong, but the local resources affected is not just this, it's the people as well. Because you're moving a lot of people down here to complete these jobs. And then once the jobs are complete, they're left searching for jobs in McDonald's. They're left searching for jobs in a Walmart, in a Hardee's, in a Dick's, in a Aeropostale, in a fucking American Eagle. Like, you're forcing technical guys to go, or you're shoving them out at the Space Center. So now you're giving them either, hey, you get to work at the Space Center, Blue Origin, SpaceX, stuff like that. You can go over to Boeing. You can go over to any of these major governmental corporations, or you can go work at a Florida mall. And not even then, you're getting worked on the Strip. And that's another issue, is that these jobs aren't guaranteed to be forever. So what happens to all of these people who can't find jobs, who are coming out here taking out major loans to buy houses? The contracts at the Space Center are going to be up by 2027, 2028, 2029, some of them by 2030. And then you got to wonder to yourself, I actually know a few people working at the space program who are only working for the next couple years so they can retire or get out of this thing. So that way they don't have to worry about where the contracts are going. They are saving their money because they know that it's not a forever thing. But what happens to their families? What happens to these people in the local area? What happens to the housing market when the AI data centers either fail here and they can't bring in more people for the jobs, and so people have to start moving the data centers to other states? Now you've just abandoned people here, or you're shoving them into more debt and putting them into another state. Then what happens to the houses that are here? They're going to get sold for either dirt cheap, and you may get lucky and you may be able to swing a house, but your mortgage rate is going to be absolutely insane right now because of the influx of people that are already here, and the amount of people that would be trying to leave would just completely eviscerate what's happening because there won't be enough people coming in to supplement the people who are leaving the actual area. And at that point, what's going to end up happening is these major corporation, not to sound like some fucking liberal whatever. I consider myself more libertarian, which means to each their own. Be decent to every other fucking person, but like, your freedoms are your freedoms. Exercise, but this is going to affect general freedoms because it's a means to an end with no more means. It's kind of like digging into a cave and getting diamonds, knowing that at the end of the cave, it's going to collapse. So instead of stopping about halfway through and digging other channels and, reworking back and widening the cave and adding bracers, you just keep fucking digging, and you keep sending in people with these shitty ass beams to hold it up, knowing you're getting damn well to the end of the mine. it's going to collapse. The mine is going to collapse. The diamonds will stop coming out. This isn't Minecraft. You're not going to have an infinite fucking supply of loot. I'm sorry. It just doesn't work like that. That's how it's going to affect the resources and how it's going to affect the people. And I know that maybe I don't know a lot. I am kind of an ignorant fuck, and I'm a podcaster, which, you know, of course makes me a genius, but I'm an idiot among the geniuses. So, like, this is just a little bit of my take on it. Investigators will evaluate the direct impact on water and power supplies as well as health risks posed to nearby wildlife and residents. So everything I just fucking said, and power supplies. By the way, FPL has increased everyone's bill over the last year by, what was it, like 50 to 100% or something like that? Because not only are there major heat waves due to the fact that we're eroding at the ozone layer, we're also in a polar shift right now, which is destroying the ozone layer as fast as we're destroying the ozone layer. So it's giving this crash collision course of where every big heat wave coming from the sun right now is blasting us and blasting us and blasting us. But the problem is they're not using water to cool down the general supply for the people. They're using the water to cool down the AI data centers. And those just exude so much fucking heat. It's actually crazy. It's kind of like, if you think your phone gets hot from you using it in the sun, can you imagine what those AI data centers must feel like? You touch that shit and it's gonna burn your face off and turn you into fucking Harvey Dent Two-Face. Motherfucker. What are you gonna do then? Die. The temporary ban would put a pause on projects while officials compare local conditions to similar communities. Commissioner Chair Jack Mariano noted that the leadership has listened to extensive feedback and emails from citizens. Good. You know, I do want to say I make a lot of comments about the citizens of Florida, about the citizens of everywhere, but a voice does matter. Everyone's voice does matter and all this other blobbity fucking blue and stuff. You know, I'm getting real serious in this episode, and it's supposed to be about jokes. I was supposed to be making jokes about big dongs and AI-nacondas and kids getting killed by cars and, like, other fun things. Do you know what I mean? The actual important stuff. The actual important stuff. We're stopping. We're looking to put a memorandum in place. Yeah. What we don't... Oh, hold on. Neighboring Hernando and Citrus counties have already enacted similar blocks, joining more than a dozen Florida jurisdictions because they're seeing that these data centers are coming in and they're stripping the local environment of everything, and then people are... It's all about building a new concrete jungle down here in Florida, and it is gross. What we don't know, officials have not yet confirmed the exact environmental toll a hyperscale facility would take on Pasco County-specific ecosystems. It remains unclear if local water infrastructure could withstand a heavy daily drain without permanently depleting resources, which means that it won't be able to withstand it for more than a couple years. And that's all they seem to worry about is, let me just get my couple years out of this and we'll fucking call it even. We'll call it even. No, that's not going to keep working anymore. At least I hope it doesn't, because this is little ridiculous. I'm not trying to sound like a Luddite. I know every single week I show you guys how technologically inept I am and all these other fucking things, but this is one of those moments where I feel us evolving faster than what nature had given us the predilection to pursue. I think that we are seeking out means that will, again, means to an end with no more means. I mean, aren't they trying to build, I think it's like a 100,000 or 10,000 AI data center, 10,000 acre AI data center in Palm Beach? Do you know how crazy that is? 10,000 acre data center. You know, 10,000 acres just burned away in the Everglades a couple months ago. Motherfuck, you know, and I even called this a few episodes ago. It seems like these fires are planned so that way they can come in and put new AI data centers in. By the way, I called a lot of things. I've been calling a lot of things lately. Something that I was wrong about, though, and I do want to make a quick note before I go any further. I'm sorry, Donnie. I was wrong about Iran. This was not a quagmire. Thank you for signing the new Iran deal, which gives us the same shit we had exactly before. Oh, but Iran doesn't have any nukes now. We're safer. Iran doesn't have any nukes now. We're safer. Dude, did Iran actually have nukes to begin with? Or were they no, but they were enriching the material that could have led to nukes. But who would that have affected? Us? Or like Israel and Dubai and Lebanon? Would it have affected the other local countries? Yeah, but the problem is a couple of those are our allies, and we can't allow the people to have nukes that are around our allies. So what about the people who are our enemies that have nukes, like China and Russia? Well, Donnie already said that he's considering doing a new peace accords with them where they can't have nukes. Okay, so we're gonna make it to where we are the only country that has nukes. Yes, that's the safest thing possible. So we haven't ended any of the corruption in our country. We keep getting told that there's more corruption left, right, and center every day by every politician, from the president down to the fucking post office worker. That there's corruption here, corruption there, corruption everywhere. It's corrupt. But you believe that we should be the only industrial power in the world that has this kind of weaponry. Weaponry that is compared to the equivalent of the surface of the sun. I understand that Donnie is orange, but just because he matches the color of the sun does not mean he should be going around with BB and having nuclear fun. Do you know what I mean? Maybe, this is kind of like going from Siri to ChatGPT, write my bachelor's degree. Just saying. How did I get here? Residents warn leaders that the single hyperscale data center could use evaporating cooling draws between 1 and 5 million gallons of water per day, describing it as gallons that we cannot put back. Yes, emergency management offices have not released data showing these massive facilities could alter local drainage. A resident voiced furious concern over a building in low-lying areas that frequently flood, stating that the skipping a flood impact study puts people and public emergency resources at serious risk. Yes, it does. By the way, in any state like Louisiana and Florida and places that are just wet, you should probably do a flood impact study before you go and put any major center there. I'm pretty sure Amazon, even before they built that factory over by Hotflix in Melbourne, had to do a flood risk assessment. That's normal. By the way, this area, Florida's getting dry as fuck. I woke up this morning and everybody's yards were dry. Do you have any clue how dry an area has to be to wake up and there's no dew in the grass? That's death. That is death of a yard. I'm going to watch these yards die over the next week. It's either that or all the shit they're spraying into the yards to kill the wasps. While Pasco County moves toward a freeze, other parts of Florida are taking different approaches to the booming tech industry. Fort Meade commissioners recently gave approval to a data center project that promises 450 jobs and millions of dollars in tax revenue. Okay, so, but where does this millions of dollars in tax revenue go? It's going right back into the AI data centers to supplement all the damage that they're causing to the community. 450 jobs. 450 jobs for something that is said to be able to replace thousands of people's jobs. So if you're talking about just efficiency, AI is the greatest thing ever. If you are talking purely efficiency, maybe not for like the cooling and it's like whatever we put into it, but if you're talking purely efficiency for a small group of people, AI is the greatest thing to ever exist. If you want a dozen people to survive in this world and you just have everything you want, AI is the greatest. 450 jobs. Meanwhile, state lawmakers have passed a bill requiring local... Okay, to be quite frank, 450 jobs isn't shit when they're bringing in thousands of people a year into the state of Florida. I think it was 1 million people entered the state of Florida last year. 450 jobs is not piss, it is not shit, it is not throw up, it is not cum, it is not... any vile excrement that you can cut. It is nothing. It's not even worth that. It's a wazi, it's a wugazi, it's a fugazi, it's a fugazi, it's fairy dust. It doesn't fucking exist. Meanwhile, state lawmakers have passed a bill requiring local governments to release documents submitted by data centers while blocking them from being built near schools and neighborhoods. Good. They're treating AI data centers like pedophiles, and I like that. They're treating AI data centers like pedophiles, meaning that they're not going to be able to put AI data centers near these children, near these schools, so that way these kids aren't going to be able to look up Sydney Sweeney going down the chocolate slide at Six Flags. Chocolate pudding slide at Six Flags. And you know what? That's good, because they really don't need to be doing this. Already people are starting to be affected by it. Florida man sues the state of Florida for AI recognition technology leading to wrongful arrest. I wonder who said this shit was going to happen. By the way, this is all due to the flock cameras and the new AI cameras that they're implementing everywhere. And if you want, and this is something that I want to be clipped, if you... Here we go. Here, hold up. If you want to actually go and sign up and sign a petition against the flock cameras and you want to have a voice on the matter, there is a website called deflock.org, and they register all the major cities that are wanting to deflock and all these other things. And I think Titusville needs to be one of those. Even some of our local city councilor or people running for city council, like Tim Curtis. You know, I don't agree with everything he does, everything he says, but I do have to say one thing that I respect about him is he doesn't want Big Brother looking down your shoulder, and I don't think any of us want Big Brother looking down our fucking shoulder. It's ridiculous. They just kind of... They said they were only going to be throwing up the flock cameras in school zones. But the problem is some of these school zones conjoin with residential areas. And not only that, but they've put flock cameras in non-school zones, around residential areas, around streets like US 1. And if you don't know, flock cameras are AI recognition cameras that scan everything about your vehicle, from the stickers you have to your license plate to who's driving. And their idea is that we want to be able to stop crime that's happening more regularly, but what they would like to do is spy on you more regularly. And I said this several months ago when we first talked about the flock cameras, right before they implemented them in February. We talked about this, that they were going to use these cameras, that the city of Titusville and Brevard was going to use these cameras to spy on you wrongfully in its free time without them having to be active during a school time, and this is already proving to be the case. Several people during non-school hours have received tickets from these flock cameras when there was no need for it. Because they kept them on during non-school hours, which is not what the original promise or intent was. But as I was saying, deflock.org is the place you can go to check out everything. There are 105,503 license plate reader cameras mapped in the USA. That is insane. That is actually genuinely insane. There are 100,000 people, or 100,000 cameras, able to just scan people constantly, regularly. And this is what they're using the AI data centers for, in part, is for the military state, because they've had cameras like this in China for the last decade, maybe decade and a half, which is where they came up with the idea of social credit score, because now they can monitor your general activity, see what medical centers you go into, see what restaurants you go into, see what stickers you put on your vehicle, how fast you're driving, and all that other shit. Are you adjusting a mirror? Are you on your phone while you're on your phone? Yes, these are things that you should not do and should be worried about, but to have AI breathing down your neck the entire time is not actually beneficial to really anyone except the people who want to abuse and misuse the power. ALPRs track your movement and store your data for long periods of time, creating a detailed record of your location history. Data from ALPRs has led to wrongful arrests, profiling, and stalking ex-partners by police officers. Yes, and that's the thing we were just talking about. Florida man sues police over wrongful arrest due to false facial recognition match. Robert Dillon is suing the Jacksonville Peach Police Department as well as Jacksonville and Pinellas County Sheriff's Office after he wrongfully was arrested due to a faulty facial recognition match. The police relied on an incorrect result from the facial recognition technology to get an arrest warrant, while concealing evidence that shows that he could not have committed the crime he was accused of. He'd never been to the city of Jacksonville. Wasn't even there at the time, was out doing something at the time. And they tried to hide this because the sheriff's office, most sheriff's office, especially here in Florida, are very corrupt, very dirty. And they wanted to bolster how good these cameras look to everybody, but clearly they're going against the grain and affecting citizens in a negative way. But, hiding evidence is always beneficial. Look at Charlie Kirk. He is one of the 15 known people to have this happen to them in the United States. 15 already, with many more to come. The night I spent in jail after they arrested me for a crime I did not commit still haunts me to this day. All right, you spent one night in jail. It is haunting, and it is emotional distress and all this other stuff you can sue for and are suing for, but it was a night. He's got a good lawyer. He is trained for the PR on this one. I will never get over how terrified and worried I was, wondering if I'd ever go home to my wife and daughter again. Because, they're trumping up fake charges on people nowadays, and they're not letting people out of jail. Said Robert Dillon. Over a year later, I'm still picking up the pieces of my life, all because the police relied on the dangerous technology instead of doing their jobs and actually investigating. Florida police must implement safeguards and ensure the safe and ensure this never happens to anyone else until they do. And because until they do, nobody is safe. 52-year-old Robert Dillon lives in Fort Myers, Florida with his wife and daughter, and he was irreparably changed on August 2024 when the police arrested him for a crime he never committed. Mr. Dillon was accused of trying to lure a child at a fast food restaurant in Jacksonville Beach, more than 300 miles away from his home, after a Jacksonville Sheriff's Office employee ran grainy surveillance photos of the suspect through an AI assistance facial recognition program, which identified Dillon as a possible match. Using only that and the statement of a restaurant employee who picked up the photo out of a lineup, Jackson Beach police got an arrest warrant. So the police aren't even doing their jobs. Not only is it, hey, ChatGPT gave me my bachelor degree, but hey, ChatGPT, can you verify this is the person that I need to be arresting right now? I'm a police officer and I don't know how to do my job. Please, I can't identify his face because my eyes are shit, my brain doesn't work, and I have no ability to go about proceedings any other way that might give me the evidence I need. Please, AI data center, please help me arrest this guy. And you wind up arresting the wrong guy. Sit on it and spin. Sit on one of these and spin. As the lawsuit explains, the photo lineup was unreliable because when facial recognition technology generates a false match, it will often be to someone who looks similar to the suspect, because all they're doing is taking everything that you put in there and they're mixing and matching the fucking details of the person until they think they give you something and they spit it right back the fuck out. They're going to end up using this to Minority Report this shit at some point. And Minority Report is another movie we'll end up doing one day, because this is insane, the amount of effort, time, loss, money that AI is causing, not just the general citizens, and not just the public, not just nature, but innocent people are being affected like a half a state away. Fort Myers and Jacksonville are 5 to 6 hours away. You are a 6-hour drive from this place, and you're being accused of being of trying to lure a child. We have Israeli tech leaders who are trying to actually meet up with 13-year-olds, but an innocent Florida man is out here getting accused of pedophilic acts that he did not perform because ChatGPT said the police officer was into white. Now, I hope this man wins the lawsuit, because there is no reason on God's green earth why he shouldn't. And I would also like this to be a lesson for our local sheriffs and anyone who watches this shit, because I don't know how many of you watch this. I don't know if any of you watch this, but you know what? Let's hope. Let's hope you do, because this should be a lesson on how maybe new isn't better, on how maybe progressiveness and progress isn't actually progress. Maybe progress for a few does not actually mean progress for all of you. Do you know what I mean? Progress for me is not progress for we. How am I supposed to make my world better if I don't fuck you? Come on now. If I don't stick these snakes up your butt, how am I supposed to make the world better? You know, I guess... Why are there not people doing speed runs on this? I read that some of these young kids nowadays, these kids nowadays, they're going around and they're spray painting the flock cameras. They're putting trash bags over them, smashing them in with hammers. Dozens of them since January have actually been smashed. By the way, Titusville kids, not saying you should do any of this, but you know what? Here, we'll make this one for y'all. To all of you local Brevard degenerates, to everybody who likes committing crime, to everybody who wants to be a gangster in this area, to everybody who wants to be a thug in this area, all I'm saying is you should look into the flock cameras and how you can be a part of helping us get rid of them as a community. That was a good one? Yeah, cool. All right. I think that was good. No, but I'm being so serious. These flock cameras they're flocking us. They're flocking the flock out of us. They're fucking the flock out of us. They're flocking the fuck out. I live in an area with one of these just up the road, and it's very uncomfortable and unsettling, because now you can't go anywhere without feeling eyes on you. You can't go anywhere without feeling the restriction and the fucking grasp around your neck of the anaconda AI, of the fucking snake that is AI data center, wrapping around your neck like a fucking noose and just going, ugh. Like an Irishman or a black guy in the 1800s. You know what I mean? Early 1800s. Back when they were not listed as people. Yeah, no, the Irish were definitely not listed as people back then. I like that I target the Irish in that sentiment instead of the black people being lynched. They were both lynched. To be fair, black people disproportionately, but the Irish were getting lynched as well. Nobody liked the Irish. Nobody likes the Irish. That's why the Irish are rebelling right now, because not only of the AI data centers, but in the oppressive rule of the English and all of these other different things that the government is trying to put on them in Belfast. But it's just nobody cares about the Irish. Nor should they. Goddamn Irish bastards. Goddamn leprechaun pieces of shit. Pieces of shite. And you know what? Speaking of leprechaun Irish pieces of shite, surprisingly, we didn't have any of those fuckers on the UFC fight card. We had none of them. We had no McGregor. We had no Paddy Pimblett. I think the UFC fight card, I made a lot of notes on this. And the AI-naconda is getting me. I made a lot of notes on this UFC fight. I was actually surprised in the first one. By the way, this is one of the things I called. I said, I pray that they don't, but I'm worried they'll try to off Donnie tonight. I said that in the last episode that they might try. I hoped and prayed they did. Excuse me. And they didn't. They failed. But allegedly, the FBI stopped somebody from flying a drone into the UFC 250 event. And that is wild. Somebody tried fucking flying a drone and nobody fucking knew about it? And Donnie's response was, no, the only attack I knew about was what was going on in front of me in the octagon. My nigga Donnie. You know what? You all can talk the shit you want about him, and I agree on a lot of it. But you gotta give this nigga one fucking thing. He does not give, you will not bother him. You will not bother the Teflon Don. Every word you throw at this motherfucker is gonna bounce right the fuck off like Teflon. The Teflon Don, fucking Donnie T. He ain't worried about shit, especially you trying to blow up the UFC. Man, that's fucking crazy. Donnie checked out a cheerleader on camera. It was fantastic. It was actually hilarious to watch. It was one of the first fights. I think it was the first fight card. He was sitting next to Melania, and he watched the girl walk by. I saw the little eye. He looked over, see if she was looking, and then he did the slight look, and then he nodded at somebody over there, and he just kept going about it. It was actually so fucking slick. You gotta give the nigga credit. First fight was crazy with a second round comeback. That was the Steve Garcia and Diego Lopez fight. Wow, that was a banger at first. Steve Garcia came out really ready to fight. Diego Lopez looked a little bit shaky at first, but it turned out, in the end of the day, that he was the fucking victorious one. Diego Lopez, man, came around to really fucking solidify that victory. A Brazilian, surprisingly. Funny enough, and this is a note I want to make, there was not only not an American in every single fight, but the American fighters on the card only won 2 out of the 4 fights that the American fighters were involved in. That is a 50-50 ratio. If you were trying to show how badass American fighters are, to a degree you failed. To a degree you failed. I am sorry, Donnie. And that's another thing I want to comment on about this UFC 250 event, because people like Rogan and everybody are like, well, fuck you, shut up, and it's America, it's America. Yeah, but you know what? They weren't using American-made machinery. They weren't using American-made staging. They weren't using American-only fighters or American fighters guaranteed in every single fight. Guess what? Cyril Gane and fucking Poatan is not an American fight. That's a goddamn frog versus a Brazilian versus a Brazil nut. We didn't even have all-American commercials. We had Riyadh Season offering commercials. We had AI commercials. We had legitimate, full-blown AI commercials. You cannot escape the grasp of the AI-naconda because it is everywhere, from your fucking postal worker to the president. AI is literally everywhere. It's inescapable. They are shoving it down your throat like a fucking anaconda just trying to choke you out. It's absolutely absurd. I can't even, whatever, I don't even care. It's just not everywhere you go. Every fucking where you go, even the biggest thing that's supposed to be the representation of the 250th anniversary of the US. You know what? I wasn't in support of it and the fact that I wanted it to be there. But I watched it because this was something that I knew was going to be a historical event no matter what. I'm a huge UFC fan, have been since I was a child. I remember watching Iceman Chuck Liddell get into fucking fights in the early UFC days. I remember watching Rampage Jackson get into fucking fights. I remember Rashad Evans. I remember watching the big motherfuckers and the huge names back in the day when John Jones was first starting out and he was taking the fucking title. I remember watching McGregor's career. I remember watching McGregor's career from his first attempts in the UFC. And I didn't watch the first fights right away. I think I got him like 2 fights into the UFC. But I remember watching all of this stuff. And now we're here at the greatest, not the greatest, but one of the biggest platforms in the entire world. This was monitored by the entire globe. There were people in France, Brazil, Mexico, America, China, Russia, everywhere was tuning into this fight because Donnie made such a big deal about how this is the bolstering of American enterprise and what America represents and how great America is and MAGA and Make America Great and all the beautiful things. But you aren't even using only American workers. You're not only using American machinery. You're not only using American fighters to represent you. You set up a card that doesn't even entirely make sense. And I made comments on that the entire time because it was just, who was the actual winner of this? This was more of a birthday celebration for Donnie than it was actually anything else. I mean, what was the next fight? It was Bo Nickel, who is, a Texas guy, versus Kyle Dockhouse. Who is what was he? Was he Swedish? I called it when we watched it. Former 2-time middleweight champ. I didn't even know who this guy was. He was an American? Wow. So one of the fights where an American won the fight, there were 2 Americans fighting. So no matter what, it was going to be an American who won the fight. This wasn't even an American who won the fight against somebody from another country to represent the power of American fucking fists. No, wasn't that. First fight, crazy. Second round comeback. They kept playing the Pirates of the Caribbean theme between fights, which made no sense to me. And they even included the Star Wars themes. Made no sense. Why stand them up during the Bo Nickel fight? Yeah, there was action happening. Bo was on him. He was swinging on him. Good knockout. With the front kick to hook. Fantastic. That is how MMA should be. It should be not just boxing. It needs to be a mix of varying styles. And to see a front kick go right into a fucking, to a hook knockout, that's fun. That's a lot of fun. Way too much dead air on the camera. I 100% agree. Yeah, Shane Gillis was like, dude, it was so cool. They were blasting in between the sessions. Just let the bodies hit the floor. Let the bodies hit the floor. Yes, it was cool, but for the people watching it at home or watching it at the fucking movie theater, as I did, shout out Titus Bill Epic, you're not at the house watching this and around the world, and you're just like, wow, this is boring. They made us wait for the AI commercials and all the other commercials until they were in the fight, and we didn't even get to hear the in-fight commentary from the corners. We didn't hear any. We heard barely any corner commentary, and I hate saying this, but as somebody who loves the fucking MMA realm, and you used to want to be a fighter and all this stuff, the commentary is just as important to how you view a fighter in this fight and what they're gonna do. As watching the fight itself, you have to know everything going. You don't have to, but it helps so much to know what they were telling that guy in the corner. And did he follow through on it? Is he listening to them? Does he understand what he's supposed to do? Is he trying it and then getting overwhelmed by the guy resisting the actual move that they thought was going to work? It plays so much into the giant chess game that is MMA. And that's what it is. It's like a chess game between warriors. That's the magnificent glory of it. If any of you have ever watched Dragon Ball Z, you understand what Whis was talking about with having to let your mind go. You're poking and prodding constantly, finding weaknesses left, right, center. As a martial artist, all you're doing is trying to find weaknesses of a fortress and then topple the fucker. And hearing what strategies are used is great for understanding how a war is played out, because that's what happens. These men are going to war with each other. Some of these men will lose vision. Some of these men will break bones. Some of these men may never step into the ring again. Some may die. Some may break jaws. Some may break a finger off. Some may get poked in the fucking eye. Some, like, you may get a concussion and never even think the fucking same again. One good punch to the nose and your nose is going to be screwed and you're not breathing right for the rest of your life and you look different. You're going to war. What are the strategies of war? Joe, why are you wearing a deep sea James Cameron to this event? By the way, watch of the week is a Tudor Black Bay. I've had this watch on, and I wanted to do watch of the week when we were doing all this. Although, by the way, honorary mention: Philip Stern passed away, the president of Patek Philippe. So 2 side steps. I hope, Patek, that you continue to create the beautiful work that you have mastered and created for, I think it's 200 years. Please, please, please don't ever stop creating the luxury perfection that you create. Don't be like AP right now and fall into all the hype stuff. Don't compete. You are arguably the greatest watch brand of all time. Don't compete. Just stay your course, because there is a new president who took over. It was Philip Stern's son. I can't remember his name off the top of my head. But just please, keep it going the way it is. You don't always need the younger kids to have your shit. AP dropped something a couple weeks ago. I haven't even gotten my hands on it because they're only doing 30 a piece at a time, and I got to drive 3 hours south. I'll get that shit eventually, but don't become another hype brand. You are one of the big 3. Be the representation of quality and class that we know you and understand you to be. Patek, I hope to own a few of your pieces one day. Absolutely would love it, because you and AP are some of my favorite brands, but AP being my favorite, but Patek, just wow. The finishing, it's just, please stay your course. Watch of the week is the Tudor Black Bay 39mm non-diver stainless steel on a Jubilee bracelet, anthracite dial. I've covered this watch a million times before. In-house movement, made by Tudor. The reason I wore this is because we're doing Anaconda, and funny enough, Jack Black was wearing excuse me, I'm ultra gassy today. I think I'm just swallowing air in between shots. Jack Black was wearing a Rolex. I think it was a, what? Damn it, I've got to look it up. It was a white gold Rolex. It was a Submariner date. That's what I fucking thought. I was going to say Submariner, and I didn't want to be wrong. But of course, I had to go out of my way just to not assume. Just to not assume. So he was wearing a Rolex in the movie, and so now I'm wearing a Rolex in my movie. No, well, it's basically a Rolex. It's a Tudor, but it's basically a Rolex. This is the poor man's Rolex. It's not really. Tudor was created in 1927, 12 years after Rolex was founded. The idea was that Hans Wilsdorf, the creator of Rolex, I believe it was, Hans Wilsdorf, he wanted to create a watch that was just high quality, just as nice as the Rolex, but without having to have the extra step of the Rolex to give it that cost. He wanted to create something that was more affordable. Now, I won't say this is affordable by any stretch of the word, and I mean that it is not generally just something people can go out and buy. This is a middle-class, intra-luxury watch, but it is, I've worn it up, down, all around. You don't notice any of the scratches on the fucking bracelet. Got a couple scratches on the bezel. One of them was from when I was arrested and the cop put the cuffs on it. There were a few things, but I've worn this everywhere, and it is fantastic daily. It's probably my most accurate watch because Tudor and Rolex are like, they're in-house movements. Usually Daytona actually used to use the Zenith El Primero movement, which is how they got the Zenith Daytona, Rolex Daytona. It evolved into that. But it's so crisp. I wonder if you can hear it. No, I'm trying to hold it up next to the microphone so you can hear that tick, 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 tick. Beautiful, 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 beautiful. It was $4,200. I don't know what it's going for right now. I'm pretty sure the cost of everything has skyrocketed, especially Tudor after they dropped the 3 chronographs and the fucking GMT. They've done a lot of big drops over the last 2 years, and one of them was even it was like a all gold All gold Submariner, whatever the hell they have. Where was I at? Oh yeah, Joe Rogan was wearing a deep sea James Cameron, which is like a fucking 15 millimeter thick watch. That thing was a beast. He had a goddamn chonker on his wrist. I understand Joe is a thick, sturdy dude, but this was a nicer event. You couldn't have worn something that was of a higher caliber. You have a Patek Philippe Nautilus 59. Ooh. I don't know which one he has actually, but I do know after he had Donnie on the podcast, this was something the watch community noted, is that he had a Patek Philippe 5908, 5907. I'm going to look this up because I don't want to be wrong. Excuse me. They're just everywhere. Fucking snakes everywhere. $57.11? No, 5811-1G. It's the white gold. He got the 18 karat white gold fucking Nautilus 5811 1G -001. 160 grand to 225 grand is the back market, but he probably has a good deal with Patek and was able to get it for like the 80 to 100 grand that it's actually worth. It wasn't that good. I'm not a fan of his James Cameron. I think it's an ugly watch. Not even one I would consider. A lot of foreign ads. How are you going to do an all-American event and then have non-American ads? Why did we do a walkout for Tyson Fury, by the way? This is an all-American event, and you brought out a fucking Limey, the Gypsy King, and you did a full walkout for him from the White House, from inside the Oval Office. By the way, I'm sorry I keep, like, inhaling and doing all this Logie stuff. I'm a bit sick right now, and I did. You know what? We weren't gonna stop recording for nothing. These goddamn anacondas. We're gonna get them one way or another. Ain't that right? See? Ain't that right? Why did we do a walkout for the Gypsy King? Gypsy King is who we applaud in the USA. AI ads, how anti-American of you. By the way, there were no American brands being advertised the entire night, which was astounding to me. Astounding. During the Michael Chandler and Roofy fight, they did a Bud Light commercial with Bruce Buffer, retarded. Who the fuck said that was a good idea when there was 5 minutes of dead air prior? That was another thing. Why are they doing the ads during the corner talk? The Lorax is a ref. Why are the models with the cards dressed like Wonder Woman and the Statue of Liberty? Chandler knockout. Called that, by the way. I figured Chandler was going to get knocked out because this was not a fight that was... Wow, this was not his fight. Boy, oh my, oh howdy, oh my, was this not his fight. Sugar pie, this was... Whew, sorry, Chandler. That was really rough, actually, watching you get your shit rocked. Mauricio Rufy, I'm so happy. He proposed and his wife said yes. 2 fighters out of Albuquerque, New Mexico, and John Jones is a New Mexico fighter. They had 2 fighters out of New Mexico, and they couldn't goddamn bring John Jones in on this card? Who is the greatest fucking UFC fighter in UFC history. You can say whatever you want, call out all you want. He really lost this. He got steroided. I don't really give a fuck. Statistically, just like Drake, just like LeBron, these guys statistically are the greatest UFC, NBA, music, whatever you want to call it of all time. I'm not arguing this, but I'm telling you statistically that is the truth. And fucking Dana White had the audacity to say that if Poatan wins, he's going to jump over John Jones as the greatest UFC fighter of all time. Poatan couldn't even last past round 2. Fucking Poatan couldn't even last past round 2. No disrespect. I love Poatan. I love Pereira. He's one of my favorite current fighters, and I would love to see him make a comeback and whoop the shit out of Cyril Gane because I wanted him to win the fight to begin with. But I have none, zilch, zero, nada, nunca, nil, understanding how you could put him over John Jones. He couldn't even... And also, why are we letting guys just go for title fights without working their way up through the bouts? Like, we're just letting everyone from other weight classes go and challenge other title fight contenders instead of allowing people who are in lightweight, heavyweight, middleweight, welterweight, featherweight to work their way up and do big events around the people who are working their way up. Everybody just wants championship fights. And we only got 2 of them this round, and Poatan lost with miserable fucking fucking failure. It was terrible. I actually was so unhappy with it watching it. And whatever. Where was I at? Here we go. Proposed, told yes. MMA DJ Khaled versus Derek Lewis. It was cool to watch Hokit win. I learned about who he is a little before the fight, and watching him fight, he did decent. He's a year older than me, by the way. Nigga, I didn't realize you were that fucking young. You look like a 40-year-old man. Holy shit. Derek Lewis, man, he did not last. Hokit is dicing him the fuck up. Hokit knocked him out. Wow, type of fight. I didn't expect Derek Lewis to get his shit rocked. Josh Hokit calls Michelle Obama a man, and he says he wants to shama Poaton's mama. Sean Strickland is from Arizona, which is crazy. Peoria, Arizona. Sean was the only American versus any other country to take a W, by the way, and he had a decent performance, but the fight itself was not that great. It was, who did he fight? Ayman Zahabi. Zahabi did good. He was trying to keep it a distance fight and make it a war of attrition, break down Sean O'Malley piece by piece, but he wasn't able to do it in time, and Sean just kind of got his distancing in and rung him the fuck up. There was no way around it. Poatan and Cyril Gane, I already commented on how sad this is. He should have worked his way up. He needs to fight. I think Poatan should fight Cyril Gane if he can beat Derek Lewis. If he can beat Derek Lewis, he should fight Cyril Gane. It's like actually insane. And then the last fight was Ilia Topuria versus Justin Gaethje, which was a slugfest. I even said that Poatan or Ilia Topuria should win that one, but Gaethje has a fucking hitch stick, and I commented on that when I made my comments about the UFC fight beforehand. And Gaethje proved that shit. He had Ilya's face looking like he just got stomped in and don't be a menace to South Central while drinking your juice in the hood. He fucked up Ilya's face. He had that nigga looking like the reincarnation of Jesus going through the crucifixion. Ilya was fucked up. Every hit, his eyes were swollen shut like this. He literally couldn't even see at the end of the fight, and allegedly he's the one who called it. And every other UFC fighter who went 5 rounds with Gaethje's like, what a fucking pussy. Your fucking team didn't call that. You called that, you bitch. Justin Gaethje, man, that was a fight worth watching, and I'm so glad that I watched that one live. Sean O'Malley's was not. That felt like they could have found a better match for him. That was okay, but they could have found something better, especially if they're talking about American greatness and all this other shit. No. Justin Gaethje was the only All-American fighter that entire night that brought something there that the rest of the fighters didn't. He brought a fucking war with him. Justin Gaethje brought a war with him, and he brought it to Ilia Topuria's motherfucking face. He brought that shit in and went bing, bing. Every fucking time he touched him, Ilia was getting scarred the fuck up. That man is not going to be fighting again for probably another year, if I have to guess, because the way that damage was done to his face, oh my God, man, I genuinely thought he was going to lose vision in one of his eyes. It was creme de la creme of a fight as far as I was concerned. And with Justin Gaethje on it, it's just, wow. The rest of the card was underwhelming. Mauricio Rufy did good. Hokit did good. I commented on who did good, but I just gotta say, I was very unimpressed overall because this felt like one of those cards that they slapped together almost last minute. I mean, this was only organized in the last 8 months, whereas every other UFC event is planned out for like the next 2 or 3 years. This was a very, like, let's not say spur of the moment, but spur of the moment kind of event. You know what I mean? Like, this was just Donnie throwing himself a surprise party, and it was fun. It was nice. They got to do the walkouts from the Oval Office. These guys, by the way, I know a lot of you don't like this, but I want you to think about the background that some of these fighters come from. Some of them come from the ghetto. Some of them are broke. A lot of them are broke. Most of these fighters, you don't fight for the money. You fight because you love it. And this is, to a UFC fighter, this is the American dream. You fight in front of the goddamn, arguably most important person in the world at the moment, who is the US president. Do I think he is? No. So don't come at me with that shit. But I'm saying that currently everywhere in the world is looking at us right now to see what our next step is going to be because of this man. So to fight in front of that, that is every UFC fighter's dream. That is every UFC fighter's, that's what they wish for. That is what they wish for. And it's just, it was crazy to witness. And even at the event, you know, I'm glad that I got to witness it and that I didn't have to use any of Zuck's AI glasses in order to watch the fight, which is another thing I want to comment on. That the AI-naconda, AI, he's giving out AI glasses, AI meta glasses to every legally blind veteran in the US. Do you have any clue how genius, excuse me, that is? He is tugging at everyone's heartstrings. If you say that you don't like them giving glasses, meta glasses to blind people, you're a bigot and an asshole because what, you don't want these blind people to be able to see? And then you say, no, I just don't want them to be able to record and monitor everyone every day, just kind of like the flock cameras, because these meta glasses are basically the human equivalent of a flock camera. And then you're just looking like a paranoid, bigoted, self-righteous asshole who just doesn't want to be recorded every day by people looking around at them and flagging them for their information, because you're going to leave school with your kid with a flock camera on you, and then you're going to get back to your blind grandfather who has a flock camera on him and is monitoring everything you have daily. Next thing you know, they're going to be walking down the streets and they're just going to be staring down everybody, watching everything they have. This is where stuff like the social credit score comes in, because now people are going to be able to look at you and see if you're a good person, mid-range person, or bad person who they should be associated with. And if you're associated with a mid-range or a bad person, why are you associated with them? Ding from the social credit score. Meta offers free AI glasses to eligible legally blind veterans, and he offered this at the event. More than 130,000 people, and I respect it to a degree. I respect the war tactics. That's, again, the thing that I love is the war tactics, because you literally cannot argue against this without seeming like an asshole, because you are arguing that they shouldn't give vision to blind people. Do you know how fucked up that is? Do you have any idea how genius it is that Zuck is like, dude, you don't want blind people to see? No, I don't not want blind people to see. I just don't want you to monitor everything. So you don't want people who lost their vision giving their vision for your freedoms in this country to be able to see. That's not what I said. And that's exactly the argument they're going to use every single time, because that man is a conniving motherfucking snake if there ever was one. But you know what? I'm tired of all these fucking snakes at the UFC event at the White House. Let's get to the real snakes of the goddamn. Let's get to the real rub of it. Let's get to the real tug of the snake. Let's get to the real shirk of the snake, of the anaconda, of the AI-naconda. And we're going to talk about Anaconda, which is an Anaconda Squeeze. Terrible fucking movie. Both of these movies were actually terrible. The one with fucking Jack Black and Paul Rudd, horrible. Horrible. The acting was terrible. That, by the way, this is why I have this shirt, is because I'm dressed like Jack Black, but I gave you the John Voight face at the beginning of the episode, which is the That's the John Voight face. And he's talking like Tony Montana the entire time. It's very interesting, huh, little bird? Huh? That's about it. And I prefer the John Voight Ice Cube one, because the graphics were worse, but at least Jack Black's and Paul Rudd's didn't just feel like a modern director coming up with some schlop to feed Netflix. Oh my god, this needs to be about something more than just the snake itself. This needs to be about intergenerational trauma. Everybody loves generational trauma. This needs to be about themes. Dude, not everything needs a theme. Sometimes people just want to see a big fucking lizard or a big snake or a big whatever go at whatever it is. Why do you think we love the Kong movies so much? We love the Kong and Godzilla movies because it's big lizard, big monkey. Give me that. We don't need themes. I don't really care about the deaf girl who is trying to find her native culture in the center of the earth and all this other shit. I don't really give two fucks about her, or the fact that Professor or Mrs. Marston was in the movie, any of that shit. Fuck them. Fuck them. Fuck them. Give me Kong. Give me Godzilla. Give me Anaconda. Give my anaconda don't. My anaconda don't. My anaconda don't want none unless you got buns, hun. My movie so groovy make you shake that batootie. That's so bad. That was on the fly and that was terrible. My anaconda don't. My anaconda don't. My anaconda don't want none unless you got buns, huh? I fucking love that. I told you I'd fit this in somehow. A lot like the anaconda fitting in your butt later. Okay, so the first one is about Ice Cube's best friend's sister or whatever and her boyfriend who is a lost tribe discoverer going into the Amazon rainforest and to discover the Shirishama. To discover this lost tribe as these snake peoples. The fuck is snake peoples? A lot like Mark Zuckerberg. The snake peoples. And along the way, they start going down the river and they run into John Voight, who's capsized on the side of the river. They pick him up. And all throughout the entire thing, he leads them deeper and deeper into the jungle, into these fuck-ass situations where there's snakes all over him, all over them, and they're like, oh my god, all the snakes everywhere, there's snakes everywhere! And he's like, these are baby snakes. And the fucking actor guy is just like, oh my god, somebody get it off of me! Fucking pretentious douche, whatever. I wish the snake would have ate him. Should've. I'm pretty sure it did. I actually don't remember. I just watched it, and off the top of my head, I can't even remember if the snake got to him. How many do I have on me? What the fuck? Jesus. I didn't realize I was so coated in snake meat. Anaconda. Where was I at? Anaconda. It was... It was okay. No, they weren't. Anaconda, the original, was okay. It features Owen Wilson, by the way, which is such a random fucking addition to the entire thing. Who the fuck would have thought that Owen Wilson would have been an Anaconda? Who the fuck would have thought Ice Cube would have been an Anaconda? Any of this stuff. It doesn't even make sense. These jokes are mixed between both Anaconda movies, which is why you get my outfit being Jack Black. And the number one, it was supposed to be number one dad, but it's number one. But in the movie, he crossed that out and wrote number one Doug. And now you get number one Tyler. Which also, by the way, it's apparently Father's Day or whatever the fuck it is. Happy Father's Day to all you fucking people out there. Whatever, man. I was supposed to be a daddy too. Nature don't work out like that sometimes, though. Where was I at? Happy Father's Day and all that shit. Actually, before we continue on with Anaconda, I got a couple jokes for you fucking people. Here we go. These are gonna be part of the shit. What is the difference between young grapes and old grapes? Young grapes don't whine. Yes, young grapes don't whine. All right. So, all right, here's another one. Everybody always hears about the story about King Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table, you know, the Black Knight and the Lady of the Lake and the great sword Excalibur that never lets you lose a fight. But people don't often hear about that sword's lesser known cousin that, you know, just never showed up to any of the fights and always had something to say about it. His name was Excusabur. All right, last dad. I made all of these up, by the way. I made all of these up. Last one. Did you guys, you know, I always talk a lot of shit about the Canadians, but have any of you heard about the new business they have up there where during wintertime they go around and they turn on your car for you about an hour before you have to leave? It's a startup company. It's so good. Oh my God, man. Dad jokes, baby. I come up with them daily because, you know, I always make this joke that I must have children out there somewhere I don't know about because my dad jokes just seem to keep getting stronger as I get older. But whatever. Back to Doug, back to AI-naconda. Both movies wind up ending with the person who's trying to take over the boat getting swallowed by the snake, essentially, because at the end of the day, they're not able to withstand this beast this long, wriggling, slimy beast that they have to face off against. Was it, I think, at the end of the first Anaconda, Ice Cube, his sister, and her boyfriend all make it out of there. And it's funny because John Voight had to cut open the boyfriend's throat at some point in the movie, and he didn't even need it. He was still able to breathe after. Excuse me. And then, of course, right after blowing up the snake and blowing up John Voight and everything, guess what happens? The fucking Shiri Shama show up. But they also, John Voight was like fucking Michael. That man was just, he was just like fucking Jason. This nigga was coming back and again and again and again. He was the snake version of, what's that movie with Robert De Niro where he's a weird, creepy guy trying to follow through? Cape Fear. What? John Voight was not Cape Fear. John Voight was Snake Fear. I guess Snake Fear is right. Apparently that big anaconda we've been hunting this whole episode just broke in and fucked up the power. Now we're down to emergency lights and my crew is terrified and they're telling me to cut this fucking episode short. They watched me kill giant fucking anacondas on camera and they're still worried about this fucking snake? Fucking shit. You know what? I guess it's good John Voight got blowed up. That way he didn't have to see this beast coming in here. I guess it's good that the snake got blowed up in the original Anaconda instead of the drone they were trying to use for the UFC 250 event. You know, I guess it's good that the woman was crashing out with Coco kids instead of these fucking cobras. These giant fucking snakes. These goddamn beasts. These motherfucking slimy, slippery, slimy, I said slimy twice, bastards. Fucking bastard bitches. All they do is eat and take from this world and strangle the life out of the things you love, like the AI data centers. All they do is choke the life out of good things. God damn it, man. You know what? Y'all have a beautiful day. I'm gonna keep my fucking eye out and I'll see y'all next week. Hold on. There he fucking is. There's that big bastard now. There's that motherfucker. There's that son of a fucking bitch. Oh. So you wanna come in here and fuck up my studio? I fucking showed you. I fucking showed you. Ah! 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 Fuck! He got me! He fucking got me! He fucking got me in the fucking choke! He fucking choke holding me! And that fucking... And not today! Gah! 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 Don't let the AI data strangle you. Don't let the AI data center strangle you like this fucking anaconda just tried to do to me. Ah, fucking fight back. Fight back. It's the only way. It's the only way.